Welcome, welcome, welcome to day 18 of our 21-day challenge to ignite your fabulous life. And we're in the money section. Yay! And with me is the creativity coach, Denise. And Denise. Yay! Fantastic. So, what we're going to be talking about in this section of the challenge is what do you say about money? Okay, so it's gonna be interesting. And so let me hand over to you, Diddy, because I'm gonna be talking a lot in a minute. Yes, yes, okay. So as I said, this is part of Ignite 2021, 21 days challenge to build your fabulous life. And so we are on day 18. So just a little bit about me. I am a real estate investor, a stock market investor, communications consultant, content marketer, and my biggest, most important job, mom in chief. But I went through a phase where I was fired from 4 jobs in 4 years and a chronic money warrior. I knew something was terribly wrong with me, that with my education, working in a bank, all of this, I walked to my car and my knees gave away. I fell right in front of my car. I I felt like I couldn't go on anymore. And I've already shared with you, Denise, I went through a phase where I couldn't even pick up a paintbrush to create. I was just so tied up and emotional. And then things, it wasn't working for me financially. And I said, and I'm sitting here thinking, but, I know how to invest. I know money. I understand the terms. I understand finance. But, and this is 2008. We're in the middle of the financial crisis, and then this it just kept going on. It kept as I said, 4 years. It just kept going on. By 2012, I had my beautiful boys, and yet I just it was a really terrible time. My son, had a lot of health challenges, and I wasn't sleeping at the hospital. Just it was. And then I got help. I got awareness, and tonight, what I'm sharing with you is the help. And I want to also say that the help I received, I think it was 2016 we met, Denise. And I think the art component was probably the last thing needed to put out the whole fabulous life concept to help other women who may also be struggling with this confusion that you're a professional, you make money, but it's not resonating, it's not manifesting, you're not seeing what you want to see. So the joke for me, sure. Right. So my help actually came from wow, it was such a series of coincidences. So I actually was talking to a friend at the bank, and I was telling her about a project I want to do, and she said, "Oh, you need to go to speak to this person." I went to speak to person A, who invited me to her function. When she invited me to her function, I ran into someone who needed marketing support and couldn't pay for it and offered to give me training. And I said, sure, I mean, I believe in helping. And it was the best thing ever. It opened my eyes. So it was, I think I was praying for help, and the help came in a circuitous way. And that's why, as I said, putting together the fabulous life is a way of helping women without having to do that circuitous jump. It's one stop, one place: creativity, wellness, mindfulness, mindset, transformation, money, success, teamwork. Make the dream. Yes, yes, yes. Right. So I said I knew all of this about money. I knew the language of finance. I didn't know and this is in 2012. I didn't know the language of energy, the money energy, different language. And I really want to go through the differences. So in order to finance your fabulous life, you really need to look at the language around money, identify the blocks you're carrying, reprogram those beliefs, and find ways to step into your abundance. And that's what I really want to take us through in the next 3 days. And let me be very clear: you were programmed. I was programmed. We have been taught, whether by family or society, to see ourselves in a particular way. And let me say, Denise, am I going to shock you by letting you know that there is an industry that profits from our bad financial decisions? Is it? It's the opposite. Okay, so let's jump into a little finance. Think about it. You aren't offered a credit card. You get 30 days free money to buy what you want and pay it back. You see, when you miss that 30-day window, the bank then makes start to make money because there's the late fee, there's interest, and because let's say you only paid off half, you actually pay interest on the full. Okay. So that's why it may feel like you're not getting anywhere when you're paying off credit cards. And then if it goes to a debt collection agency, they get paid to call you so that you pay. So there is an industry that profits from your unawareness, from your poor decisions. And then you walk into the bank, one, as a victim, two, thinking you're going to get help, maybe a supplicant or a beggar, that mentality, and you get both. And you then say the world is against you. No, you are behaving as you were trained. Okay? So it's not your fault. It's just, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's time to get a new language because, as I said, I walked around, oh, I know the language of finance. Woo, 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 woo. No, that's only half the story. Half. There is another side. There is the language of the energy of money. And that made all the difference for me. And I want to talk about it some more. Okay. So again, let's just look at from, a society perspective how we talk about money. Okay? So how it manifests. So you're walking around with this programming, not realizing you are doing what you were programmed to do. So you've been trained in negative emotions. Like I have a parent who believes anything you're gonna get, I'm gonna lose. Yeah. And so, I've had to learn to reprogram that. Self-sabotage. You have to dive deep into the heart to understand why is it you say you want something, but then every action you take thereafter is the opposite. Your energy. You may be around people who are so toxic that your energy system is constantly disrupted. And so you are not clear, you are not focused, which the result is your vibrations are low. And down there in the space of anger and shame and guilt and obligation, you're not creating. And usually the decisions you're making now is something or motivation carried forward from the past. Again, Denise, from an art perspective and a creativity perspective, have you not seen where artists who create beautiful and they have nothing to show for this beauty they create? You, you, because you know what? The biggest thing in finance, okay, is healing your money story. There are many of us that we're okay. We're floating along in life and we're okay with return on investment. You know, the numbers speak and we are cool. But there are many of us who are not on the path of energetic healing for our money. So you could just sit down there and tell them everything about interest and inflation and government debt and gross domestic product. I use all the fancy words, and the person is sitting there in pain and in agony, and they can't make a decision. They're frozen. They're absolutely frozen. Now, I want to take a few minutes to go through some of the words we use about money and maybe some of the energy. And I'd love for you to jump in, Denise, anytime you feel appropriate. Okay, so here we go. We have the almighty dollar. Yeah, as if it's bigger than God. Okay. That's their energy. That's their energy. You don't have to take it. You have assets, neutral, bank, banknote, bankroll, Benjamins. What if you don't have a good relationship with people named Benjamin? And all of a sudden your money is, you know, big bucks, bill, bones, bread. I listened to Reverend Ike, and one of his sermons talks about, the Bible says, he who tills his soil will have plenty of bread. And what is the slang for money in certain communities? Bread. Okay. Bucks, cabbage. I have a problem with cabbage because I don't know about anyone else, but my cabbage goes bad very quickly. That's not to stay long. Capital, cash, change, check, cheddar, again, cheese. not something that has much longevity. Chips, clams, again, seafood goes bad fast. Coinage, currency. Dead presidents, really? I'm not into touching dead things. Dime, dash, dough, earnings, gold, gravy. Um, the thing is, I don't particularly like gravy on my food, so it may not be a word for me. Greenback, hard cash. Is it hard cash because cash is hard to get? The association. Do you have to be cold to get cash? Legal tender, lettuce again, something that goes fast. Loot, piracy, theft, moolah. I mean, what else we have here? Ready, resources, riches, rolls, silver, smackers. Really? You want somebody to smack you? Peso, stacks, treasure, wad, wherewithal. These words that we use. Rain. And then when you're not seeing any rain, you feel bad. Now, I deliberately went through these words because the goal for this challenge for the next 3 days is to release money blocks. Release, release, release. Because we're carrying these burdens. And we don't, a lot of times we don't know. It's almost like we don't know what we don't know about money. So I know that I don't understand the, Federal Reserve open market operations. What's that? Or I know I don't know what the Bank of Japan monetary policy. That most people are clear about that. What we don't know is the energy that we carry from the argument with our sister or something that happened in kindergarten, how that translates into the workplace. And then when it translates in the workplace, we may be so grateful for a job because we have no sense of self. We take less money than we're supposed to, and then we don't ask for pay increase, and it just manifests in these ways. So now I want to look at how, if you've ever walked into a bank, you might be feeling, they're judging me. Well, yeah, and let me share a little bit of how you're so that we can release, because it's good to know. This isn't, I am not judging you, but I want you to just see kind of what a bank might see. Okay, so I am pulling this from the Henderson Wealth Management Money Operating System. And they look at how their clients talk and they categorize them in 5 areas. So, one, there'll always be enough money. Now, that may sound confident, and it's usually high earners, but it's also people who earn average and live really low beneath their means. The challenge is, they may not be aware of changes, so they're not really watching the growth of their money. And even though we're talking about the energy of money, we still want to grow. Expansion is a natural thing. If you cut a tree, branches spring back, so growth is natural. Next, if I'm good, the universe will give me what I need. No, you really got to do the work. You can't sit down and wait on the universe. And the next one is money makes me valuable. I'm sure we've met many people walk around with their Mercedes Benz as who they are. The next one is on the flip. There will never be enough money. These are the people who would seem to have it all and feel like they have nothing. And they're always hunting, 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 hunting. And you also can never do enough for them because they're just always hungry. And then this one is money is bad, the root of all evil. Again, these may be people who are proud of being poor, proud of not having enough. There's a Jamaican slang, or you're poor and bossy, and so we're not judging any of the 5 as good or bad. What we're saying is, again, if you walk into the financial institution, them read you already and then know who you are. And then Ah, right. Okay. Okay. So now that we've looked at the money slang and the energy of the money slang, and we've looked at how you may be assessed by your banker, we want to talk about again some ways to cope basically. So what we're looking at is, can you make some switching in your mind? So in neurolinguistic programming, NLP, they look at doing switching. So the switch technique is an important technique in NLP in order to sort of what they call disassociate the negative for the positive. So you say, oh, I have this debt, I have to pay this debt. Oh my God. And what could you switch that to? I'm making an investment to clear off some, bills I have, and I'm moving forward. Okay. That switch decreases the negative energy. And if you look at, and let me predicate this to say, you, the human, the person, you are your biggest asset. You may not feel like that when you walk into the bank. You may not feel like that when you get your credit card statement. You may not feel like that because you don't have the assets you think you should have or the investments you should. Doesn't matter. You are your number one investment. And therefore, debt is really a decision. The word debt and the way debt is managed in our society is very intimidating. It's very dehumanizing. And I'm encouraging you to swap out the word to investment, because you are investing in your financial future, your financial freedom, your financial breathing room. You're investing. Okay. What does that do as well? That's Reverend Night. So, so the whole idea of the switching of language is, so for example, you had that list with cabbage, which expires, and cheddar, and so are you taking the energy to say my money's going to go away quickly? you know I don't particularly like that, because again, if it's circulating and your money goes in and it comes right back, it's circulation, 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 circulation. It's almost like when you look outside, the changes, certain plants die and they come back, certain trees lose leaves and they come back. So again, it's that circulation that we want to have, that mindset. Another switch is, a lot of us don't like budgets and we don't like financial plan. But what about abundance overview? This is an entirely new way of wording your money. And it is effort, because you know why it's an effort? You are going to be breaking with programming. Think about it, Denise. When you have this horrible debt or this horrible credit card bill, and you go to the bank. You went to the bank last week and you were horrified and shocked at how you were treated. Now, let's switch it. You walk through the door as a victim. You use the language of help me clean up my mess. So you went as a supplicant. You went begging for help as a victim. That's a different energy. And you left offended because the banker didn't use humanity or compassion or any word you want to use to help you. That's your story. Flip it around. You went in as a victim, you begged, you were a supplicant, and you felt entitled to help. Now, what if we changed our language and, you know, use a different conversation? I owe $1 billion. And I know that the $1 billion is on my credit card. So there is no collateral. They can't take my house. They can't take my car. Can't take anything from me. I know there is a problem with my credit report. I'm very clear on that. But I also know that the credit law says you can't call me after 6 o'clock. You can't call me before, like, I think it's 8 o'clock or 8 in the morning. I also know that I can request everything in writing from you. So that means that I'm not supposed to be able to pick up the phone and call me and harass me, right? You need to write me a letter and have it delivered by mail or delivered by email. I don't have to give you my email address if I don't want to. So I'm going to have to use snail mail. I also know that I can sit down and I can use a particular type of language and say to my banker, here is my situation. Here is how I plan to resolve it. I know that if the banker says no, I can go to the banker's regulator and file a complaint. Okay? I do know there's a price for all of this action, and that is my credit report will have the dispute on it. I'm clear on that. I'm the one who charged $1 billion on my card. So I know the credit report will reflect that. But because I know certain things have to happen in the debt process, I'm not a victim. I'm informed. So I'm going to make an investment to clear off this other investments. I'm going to invest in time. I'm going to invest to clear off this other investment, right? And then I'm going to also look at where is there abundance in my life and put my energy there. So I've written my letter to my banker. The banker tells me something I don't like. I write to the banker's supervisor, which would be the regulator of the bank or a consumer affairs agency or you understand? And so I know there are steps in the process. Okay? And so I'm going to put my yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you. And so I'm going to put my energy on where I'm abundant. So you know what happened? Let me tell you the truth. The reason I ran up $1 billion is because my dream was to have 200 pairs of shoes. And so when I go into my closet and I look at 200 pairs of shoes, I feel good. I feel good. And so I made an investment in shoes. So I feel good. And then I'm going to look in my kitchen and I know I'm a great cook. And so I'm going to focus on how good I feel cooking. And I'm going to do all these things to lift my spirit. I am not going to beat myself up on the $1 billion, you know. And so the last thing I want to say, because, we have flowed into credit card debt, I must tell you, at one time, I actually did owe the bank $1 million. And it wasn't my million US, it was an error. It was an error. Apparently, some really bright spark person at the bank charged one transaction for 1 million US. And I was the lucky person to get in that fraud. And so when I got my statement, I wasn't upset. I just I went over to the bank and I said to the teller, I'd like to speak to the supervisor about a credit card. And, of course, I was met with the attitude of, if you owe money, you need to pay. I said, well, look at my statement and you tell me what one thing I could have bought for $1 million to owe you that. And she was like, oh, she okay, because it was ridiculous. So having had $1 million on my credit report as debt for a few days, I'm telling you, I lived it where I knew there was a process. I knew it. And then someone else they got married on another bank card I had. Oh, I always get these lucky events. And they got married. They went they went to Cecile's bridal boutique and they went to Sandals and they had an awesome wedding on my credit card. And in fact, instead of being having an attitude with me, the bank actually said they got married again and didn't tell anybody. So I'm saying energy, the energy you bring to it speaks. And again, it's a process. It's a process. And so I want to leave you with this challenge or this conversation in our 21 challenge, and that is how many words can you replace with words? How many money words can you replace with words of abundance in your day-to-day language? Yeah, please drop us a line in our Fabulous Life Facebook group. And, thank you. Drop us a line, make the switch in your language. And again, since you've been on this whole credit card thing, as somebody who's been a victim of fraud in a big way twice, there's a language, there's a process, there's a language. You shouldn't let nobody intimidate you. It hurts, but there is a process, right? And so in our next conversation, we're going to call somebody in because, again, this is really the energy, the money. And I think you appreciate that, Denise, having the energy, having the money. And as I said, Denise, I can share happily. Because guess what, the work never ends, You're always, it's like an onion, you peel in layers. And so I use art journaling, yeah, to understand for me. That's been my new tool. I really appreciate you, Denise, with this art journaling and how it helps me. In fact, I have a book that I'm reading now about being super clear. So many people say they want to achieve a goal and they're not clear on it. And, the book encourages you to write. I'm struggling with the writing. And so I'm going to use the art journal, use the tools in the art journaling to do the assignments in the book. So again, thank you very much, Denise. And I encourage anyone watching, sign up for your program. And that is how we're going to heal our money story. So we will be back for our next conversation. Thank you all. Thank you, Denise. All right.